Little person vacated the box about 2 hours ago. He's sitting there by the teddy bear's foot. He's very feisty and eyes wide open, been pecking the other three and trying to pick a fight with them and leaping about and falling over his own feet, but he's very, he just did then, he's very bright, he's very active, thoroughly animated, and glad to be alive and glad to be out of his egg, or out of his shell. So, very pleased. The other egg is dead, the fifth one in there, no sign of life whatsoever, so turn the incubator off and I'll investigate why that died a bit later on. But 4 healthy chicks, even though Mother Nature, if she had had her way, it would have only been 2. So, I interfered again, but there we are. We've got 4 lives instead of 2. So, it's got to be good, isn't it? They're all given a chance, and let's hope they make it to adulthood. Well, the drought is certainly taking its toll on the wildlife. The baby rabbit, dying of thirst, come out to try and find something to drink. Mum's obviously abandoned it, and I don't know what to do about it. Don't know how many might have in there, brothers and sisters. But there was 2 laying out here the other day, dead. So, very desperate situation. I've got more rabbits than that rushing around here. There's billions of them, but Mother Nature is causing their extinction. As I say, everywhere I go around the farm, I smell death, and it's adult rabbits just rotting out in the open. So that one looks quite thin. That one will probably be out tonight dead. If it comes out again, I'll take it in the house. I don't want to do that, but I can't leave it to die if it comes out again. But I'm not going to be out here every 30 seconds to see if it has come out. So, but very sad indeed. Well, I managed to grab Bunny on the 4th time he came out, so now daughter is administering. He's completely starved, he's very cold, I doubt he'll live. I haven't got any foster milk, so it's just cow's milk and warm water, so that won't do much cot, but hopefully he's old enough now to have got enough probiotics in his system not to actually die of that sort of problem. But whether he'll live or not, who knows. So yet another thing in the goddamn kitchen. He doesn't like it much, but there we are. Guess that'll starve, so. My daughter's got more patience than I have and things like this. But then I've got more patience than she has with hatching an egg. So there we are. Can't see him now. Little sweetie. These little tykes have had their first feed. They're doing fine. That's the little one on the front there with the black bits on his wings. He's the one that was in desperate straits, the last one that I hatched. He's doing fine. Big one over the back there by the teddy, I'm a bit bothered about him. His breathing is dreadful. I don't know what his problem is. He's eating okay, but his breathing is not good, so I don't think he's going to make old bones at all. The other one, the 5th egg that was dead, I broke open, and it was tragic because he'd absorbed all the yolk, he was obviously ready to hatch, but he had his head very, very low down, just his beak just under his wing and a foot just on his head. He was wet to a degree, but I don't think as wet as this lot. He was sticky, yes, but he could have easily have pulled his head up and just pipped the egg. there wouldn't have been a problem. So why on earth he died, I don't know. In fact, I couldn't even find his head. I didn't know where it was. I'll say it was very, very low down, and whether nature just decided that he wasn't going to make it, perhaps he was inbred, I don't know. That one screams as well every time somebody touches it. And it screams when you go to pick it up as well, and that's an absolute fit. It's obviously hurting, so whether it's got pneumonia or not, I don't know. It moves around alright and eats alright. It seems to be quite bright and breezy, but its breathing is absolutely awful. Huffs and puffs, and yes, he was breathing through his mouth, gasping for air. But as you see, he's bright and breezy, but let's see. Who knows? Oh, stop it, pigeons. But yeah, it was tragic with the fifth egg. I don't know why that died. It was so ready to hatch. It was, all it needed to do was lift its head. It died, obviously, just before it lifted its head. Why it didn't lift its head, I don't know. When I found its head, I just touched it with no effort whatsoever, and it fell out from under his wing. He only had his beak just slightly under his wing, and I found the foot just on the side of his head, so he could have moved without any problems. So I can only assume, obviously, when I saw him move, he was trying to get his head out, but very, very weak movement, not very strong at all, so he obviously had a problem and just died. There we are. Now I've got a sick turkey out in the pig house. The bigger one, no, the smaller one of the two, but obviously the male, not the one that had the problems before, not eating. That's sort of semi-eating, but he's obviously going down with something. So I've got to now clean out the caravan and bring them back over there and administer to that one. The mares are out of water because the spring's dried up, because they've rerouted the water. The water company here have done something to the underground water source, the springs, and diverted it into the hole in the ground that we drink from, which is absolutely disgusting. But it means my springs and my three ponds I've got out there have dried up, so they're out of water now, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing with them. I've got the stallion up here so I can administer water to him out the hose. So of course it means I'm forced to use the tap water, which is extremely expensive. They're absolute gits for doing that, but there we are. So today is going to be a real bitch of a day. I can feel it coming. Right, there's a little turkey that's not very well. There's sister, and as you can see, the body attitude is completely different. The cat's claw hasn't seemed to have kicked in yet, so I've got some more this morning to give him, and I've also watered down into a paste some Lies pellets. It's about the only thing I've got that, well, I suppose I could give him his own pellets, but they tend to go gritty and not very good, and I shall sort of make some bullets to try and get down his throat, because he's got to eat. He hasn't eaten anything, and you can see that body language is completely wrong. At this age, he could die very, very quickly with this bloody blackhead, so it's a case of sort of against the clock. But if I can keep food in his crop going through, then that'll keep him slightly better off than without. So I'm going to go and get on and do that right now. So this is the cat's claw again. Gibby, you're not the most helpful people. Come on. Swallow, that's it. And you've got most of that. I got most of it yesterday. That's probably why it's not working very well, because he kept spitting out the other side of his mouth, which wasn't being very helpful. But he's getting most of that. Got the technique to keep it fluid now, so that's good. I haven't had nearly all of that. Yeah, if I was in there, I'll get you some apple cider vinegar water to dilute the last bit out. There we are. Right, now let's see if we can get some food into you. No. I want your mouth wider than that. Oh, you are awkward. Oh, you bitch. Yeah, well, you're not eating, are you? Well, my little turkey isn't doing very well at all. He's had 5 treatments of cat's claw, and I did get some more food into him last night with you know, forcing it, putting it into little bullets and putting it down his throat. And I was relatively hopeful last night that he was going to improve, but he's not eaten at all today. I've just given him his 5th treatment, half a capsule of cat's claw. Now I've taken to sterilised egg yolk with some mashed grain and mashed pellets to try and inject down his throat. It's definitely blackhead. He had a poo earlier. If these people get out of the way, I might be able to see. Get out of the way, hen! And it was absolutely bright orange. I can't see it now. Oh, there. And you see, well, not bright orange, bright yellow. Yes, chicken. So it is definitely blackhead. I thought it would be. I almost guarantee it rained, and even though I kept them into the ground, it dried up and it heated up, hoping that the worms were going to be well and truly underground. He's obviously picked up something that hadn't dried up or gone underground, under a bush or a tree, obviously, where the sun wasn't getting to it, and hence, bang, he's got blackhead. Because that patch out there was full of guinea fowl and chickens. So, my own fault for doing it, but I say the treatment doesn't seem to be working because he's not eating enough. The trick is raise the immunity and keep pumping food in. I've kept one alive for 2 weeks about his age, just feeding him maggots, but I didn't know about cat's claw then, so he wasn't having the cat's claw. But eventually the liver just gave up, and when I post-mortemed him, his liver was white and like a rock. But if you can keep the goodness going into them, keep the protein going in, keep the food going, you know, they remain strong. Although he is picking at that, but not, no, he's picking it up, I'm not putting it down. He's doing like he did when he was a youngster. I said he wouldn't make old bows, didn't I? So unless I can get him eating today, I don't hold out much hope. Because I don't know what the cat's claw is doing to him without food being digested as well. But of course he's just getting weaker by the day, by the second, by the minute, hour. So I'll try injecting that into him and see how he does. I'll say the egg will be protein, so, and it's liquid, so hopefully it'll be easily taken up by his system. What are you two hooligans doing? I mean, to have him out here isn't the best either, really. But I can keep a good eye on him out here and just come out and deal with him as I need to without fighting off other chickens and what have you. And I don't want to bring him in the house in a box on his own because he'll just pine. Of course, stress weakens them even quicker. So the trick is not to stress him. No, he is eating a little bit, but not enough. Not enough to keep his strength up. So I'll try that with him, and that'll give him the protein he needs for the next 2 or 3 hours, and then I'll come out again another couple of hours and give him some more. Okay. Well, not a very pleasant subject, but he's just had another poo, and there is an awful lot of yellow in that, but there's also some darker matter, so hopefully the cat's claw is beginning to kick in and work. I've changed their feeding utensil again in the hope that that'll encourage him to eat. So this is what they do. Oh God, he is eating, look at that. He had about half of the sterilised with boiling water egg and some grain and the high protein pellets. I have got a lot of apple cider vinegar in that feed, a lot of herbs de Provence, and his little crop wasn't too bad by the time I'd got half of the egg cup into him. And if nothing else, if he doesn't eat much else, at least he's had a reasonable amount of protein and sustenance. He'll eat out of that better than he was out of the main. He wasn't touching the food at all in the main, he was just looking at it and walking away. But that, at least he is eating, so it's the lesser of two evils, isn't it? Sod's law. And not only that, with everybody else pecking away like that, it's sort of automatic, he has to go and eat too. It's instinct. Oh, talking about instinct. I maintain that turkeys are very bright and very intelligent. Little turkey hen that I wanted to go broody, that wasn't going broody, but now she has, laid an egg yesterday. She hasn't laid an egg for 4 or 5 days, but she laid one yesterday. And because she's sitting on her hard-boiled turkey eggs for the minute while I get enough chicken eggs together, because my neighbour hasn't got a rooster anymore, he killed the rooster, so he hasn't got any fertile eggs, nobody else has, so it's sod's law. And my chickens have gone off late, so it's going to take me about 5 or 6 days to get enough eggs to make it worthwhile to put under, and then I don't know if they're going to be fertile, because I put the other rooster in the stable because he attacked me, and I've put the one that was out here with the speckled rooster that doesn't look like a rooster that I thought was a hen. I've put him out there in the hope that change the bloodlines a bit, and hopefully he's slightly more fertile than the other stupid thing. So yeah, it's going to take a few days for me to get there. Anyway, so she laid an egg yesterday, but she didn't lay it in the nest. She laid it outside, and I watched her do it. I didn't have the video camera with me because it was on charge. So all these things that I could put on video that probably haven't been seen before, and people wonder, well, how did that happen, or how did that do that, or whatever. There she did. There she was. I stood watched her. She came by the grill that I've got up, by the wire I've got up. She stood there, she dropped the egg, it hit the rubber mat, it didn't break. She then pecked a hole in it and then stood on it. Picked the shell up, threw the shell, and left the yolk out on the rubber mat. So she wasn't going to compromise the eggs that she thinks she's brooding, I think she's incubating, in the nest for a one-off egg that she just laid out from nowhere after 5 days of not laying. So that's instinct, admittedly, but it's also logical thinking, which, as far as I'm concerned, is intelligence. So they certainly are not thick turkeys. They are very, very bright. How did she know to leave the nest, lay the egg and destroy it? But she did. She destroyed it. She completely annihilated the shell, totally, standing on it, and wasn't happy until after she'd thrown it across the stable, standing on it again. It was in absolute shatters. You know, it was just dust almost. And then the yolk, she went and stubbed the yolk, and then left it there, and then looked at me to say, well, now remove it, which I promptly did. So, you know, that is logical thinking. That's intelligence. No, he stopped eating again. Never mind. He's had some.